Hi guys, today we're going to learn how to draw the face. We're going to be focusing on proportions for today and not so much on shading and realism, okay? So today we're focusing on making sure everything is in the right place and in the right size. So that is the big focus. Don't walk out of here thinking that you're going to have a perfectly shaded and beautiful realistic thing. Today's focus again is on proportions. So to get started, you're going to want an oval shape and then a line going straight down the middle one way and straight down the middle the other way. This is a pre-printed page that already has those materials on it. If you have something like this, great. If you don't, you can just draw an oval and use a ruler or your freehand to draw your little symbol. So the next thing that we're going to do is actually start with the eyes. So this line right here, we're going to label that eyes. And this is the line that is going to represent where the eyes fall in your face. Your eyes are actually in the middle of your head. A lot of times when people draw eyes, they draw them very high up on the face. And I understand that because when you look at someone's face, it looks like their eyes are high up on the page, like on their face. But in reality, it's actually right in the middle of their head. And some of this is supposed to be hair. So it'll all make sense when we start going. So the first thing we're going to do is draw a series of hump shapes that are going to represent eyes. And this is going to help us make sure that we get the correct spacing for our eyes. Every person's face should be able to fit about 5 eyes if you could actually draw them on someone's face. There should be about 5 eyes worth that you can draw on any person's face. So when you're drawing, you want to start by making sure you can fit 5 eyes and make sure they're about the same size. Now this one looks a little bit smaller. So if it's the case, you're going to erase and adjust until you get them to be about the same size. You want each one to be about the same so that we have about an even spacing here. Okay, so that's a really important first step, is making sure that you have an even spacing all the way across your line. Now I'm going to actually zoom in so we can see a little bit closer as I develop the eyes a little bit more. So once again, here we can see I've done 5 humps and I've tried to make sure that they all connect with each other and that they're all about the same size. So the best way to start is right in the middle. So making sure that that middle eye is right in the center, right where it crisscrosses. And then once you have your 5 eyes, you're going to concentrate on the middle ones on the opposite sides. Those are your actual real eyes, the eyes that we're going to finish drawing and fully developing. So I'm going to draw an under part, an under curve just for these particular eyes. And these are the finished eyes. Okay. Now I'm going to draw a circle inside the middle of each eye. This is going to be the iris. And then of course, if you were drawing this as a finished piece, you would have a pupil, you know, a circle in the middle that you would color in, and that would be your pupil. All right. Next, we're going to draw another guideline. So we have this first guideline once again that says eyes. You should label it so you know where those go. Next, we're going to draw another line between the center line and the bottom of the face. Try your best to get it about the middle. If you're having a hard time judging where the middle is, after you draw a line, you can use your fingers to measure and make sure the spacing is correct. It seems that my top space is a little bit smaller than my bottom. So that tells me, okay, I need to erase and try once again to see if I can get it more in the middle. Once again, let's check the spacing. That looks a lot closer. Not 100% perfect, but it's pretty close. So I am happy with that. And I'm going to label this line nose, because this is where the nose is going to go. So we're going to draw a dotted line from the inner corner of the eye all the way down to the nose line. That's going to tell us how wide our nose should be. Next, I'm going to draw a curve so that it's touching the dotted line and it's right on this nose line. This is going to be the nostrils. Next, we're going to draw the center shape of the nose. This part is tricky It's a little hard for a lot of people to do, so don't be discouraged. What we're going to do is draw a little bit of, right where this crisscrosses, we're going to draw a little bit of a curve, kind of like a little smile face, like a little baby smile. And then I'm going to draw on either end a curve that dips down just a little bit. When you see the final shape, it kind of is like a squished V. And that's representing the ball of our nose and the actual holes of our nostril. Next, we're going to draw yet another guideline, this time between the nose line and the bottom of the chin. And we're going to try again to go about halfway. Once again, measure and see if your measurements are correct or off. If they're not quite right, redraw, measure again to make sure you've got it in about the right place. And this is going to be our mouth line. Now, before we draw our mouth, we need yet another guideline to know how wide to make our mouth. So I'm going to take from the pupil, I'm going to draw a dotted line straight down and until I hit my mouth line. I'm going to do that on both sides. And that is going to tell us how wide to make our mouth. Now, people's mouths all have different shapes and different thickness to it. Some have big full lips, some have skinny lips, but we all have a basic same bottom lip shape. So that's what I'm actually going to start with. We're going to start by drawing a curve from one end of the dotted line all the way to the other side. We want it to touch this bottom line. So it actually kind of looks like a smile, like a little smiley face from a cartoon. That's the bottom of our lip. Now you know how wide to make it, and you can feel free to create the top lip whatever shape you want. Generally, the top lips go up a little bit and they dip down right about where the center line is. And then we have this middle line that represents the middle of your lips. Next, we're going to draw the neckline. So right down here, right where the mouth line intersects with the curve of the head, that's where we're going to draw our line for our neck. We're going to do that on both sides. It has just a slight gentle curve to it. Then we're going to move up to the eyebrows. We're going to need to put the eyebrows in so that we know where to put our ears in comparison. So eyebrows, you're just going to draw a nice little curve above the eyes. Not too far away, but not too close either. And once you have that curve shape, you can add some little dashes to represent hair, because our eyebrows are not colored in. They are actually full of hair. So I'm going to add these little dashes of texture. Creates the illusion of hair. So I'm just putting it right on top. And generally, eyebrows are a little bit thicker on the inside near the center of the eyes. And then they kind of get thinner as they go outside. All right. We're now going to be ready for the ears. Your ears fit in almost perfect between your eyes and your nose. But if you were to actually measure on your own face and judge it for yourself, you'd find that the top of your ears actually hit close to where the eyebrows are. So wherever your eyebrows are, you're going to make a little line outside of it. And we're going to call that ear on this side. See how I did it on the opposite side? And I'm going to write down here at the bottom of the nose, ear also. So we know that this is the space in which we're going to be doing our ears on both sides. I didn't label this side. I just didn't want to confuse myself though. So when we do our ears, we're going to do a really easy, simple shape here. I like to think of it as sort of like a question mark, okay? The top of the ear curves up just like a question mark would. It starts going in. It's just not as dramatic as this. So it starts going in towards the face. And when you get close to the bottom, instead of having a dot, we bring it back out a little bit to create a little bit of an earlobe. We're not going to worry about decorating the inside of the ear too much right now. Again, we're focusing on the shapes of things. Let's repeat this on the other side, only backwards. And now we have our other ear. Okay, now we're ready to do more with our face. So I'm going to zoom back out so we can work on our hairline and we can see that a little bit better. Okay, so here's how our face is looking from a full perspective. Now, in order to figure out where to start your hair, a good way to do that is to measure the width of the bottom of the mouth line to your chin, and that's about where your hairline should start. About. Again, I'm going to draw a real basic shape to show, okay, this is where the bangs would go, and then I'm going to draw down the side and make sure I stop just above the ears, because males, females, no matter who you are, you're going to have some hair that's growing in front of those ears. It's really important you make sure you have some hair there, otherwise it's going to look kind of like wearing a hat or a wig instead of actually having hair growing out of your heads. At this point, guys, we're just going to be practicing using our template to create some more realistic and detailed faces. So what you're going to need is a piece of tracing paper. You're going to put that directly on top of your drawing, and you can see the drawing that you did underneath, and this time you can go onto this still using pencil, or you can switch to a pen or to any other marker, and you're going to go on top of it and keep the details you want to keep. Don't keep the details you don't want, like these guidelines, and you can start changing some of the shapes too. So just because the shape of my lips look like this, or the shape of my nose looks like this right now, or my hair looks like that, doesn't mean that's the way I have to draw it. I just want to make sure everything's going in the right place. So let me fly through a few examples to show you what I am talking about. So here you can see one finished example of how I took my original, which is a very generic basic face, and I was able to put my tracing paper around top and again use the eyes and the nose and all the things that are in there as guidelines of where I was going to put my things. But I did decide what I was going to keep, what I was going to take away, what I was going to add. When doing the hair, if you're just using like a pen or a marker, you can just fill it in with some nice straight lines like this, trying to put them going in the direction the hair would grow. It's going to keep it looking less scribbly and a little bit more realistic. I decided to go with a side part. I had some of the hair go down in front of the face a little bit. So this is just some things you could do if you're trying to draw someone with maybe longer hair or a little bit more feminine features. Let me show you another one so you can see a different way to approach this. Yet another way to approach this. I decided in this case to do someone who had shorter hair, maybe a little bit more masculine features. I added a curve at the top to create an eyelid. I didn't have it connect. If you've noticed, it doesn't connect. It's kind of separated a little bit. I did add a little inner curve to that ear. I outlined the eyebrows a little bit more defined. I also changed the shape of my lips a little bit, and when I did the hair, I had it kind of flip up in the beginning right there, and I made sure that I left some in front of the ears as well. Notice the outside edge of the hair has a lot of rough edges. That's what's going to make it feel more hair-like. Let me show you yet one more way. another way to approach this. Again, did someone with shorter hair. This time I tried to emphasize on sort of a curlier texture. There's a lot of people with curly hair, whether it's loose or tight, and I just kind of did like this scribbly curly movement with my marker. I just kind of like scribbled all over in tight little curls, and tried to make sure that the outside edge was a little irregular. Again, that gives it a little bit more element of realism. I changed the shape of some of the facial features, lips, nose, other things, just to kind of like change it up a little bit. But that is just yet another direction you could go in. So keep practicing, keep trying different things, using your base as your template, and I can't wait to see some of your results.